Thank you.
All right, guys, so a little change of plans here. Looks like we can't get to the frequencies in Europe, and we'll have to check in with our radio stack and our our engineers there. So we'll check that out later. So we're gonna go from Midwest to Ottawa, and that is Kilo Mike Delta Whiskey for departure. Kilo Mike Delta
You're saying
Whiskey.
Midwest, but it's Midway.
Midway.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I'm saying it wrong. And we're gonna go to Ottawa, which is Charlie Yankee Oscar Whiskey. Charlie Yankee Oscar Whiskey. All right, aircraft type same. We're gonna go to 777-200LR. Call sign, we're gonna swap over to UFLY 124 because we're not Air Canada. And let's see here. Block time is about 2 hours. That's fine. Altitude's fine. Passengers auto. Keep everything else the same, and we'll take the first on the ARAC cycle 2311, and let's generate flights.
So Ryan, you usually take the first one, right?
It doesn't matter really. These are all real used flight plans.
The normal thing is to take the first one is up there, correct?
Yeah.
More or less.
Yep.
Departing runway 22. Notices to air mission. Aircraft should operate mode C on all taxiways and runways. Turbojet departures maintain 250 knots until advised by ATC. VFR departures indicate type, field location, and requested heading. Remake all runway hold short instructions and altitude assignments. Advise on initial contact. You have information Alpha.
Okay.
Midway Airport ATC information Alpha 1953 Zulu.
Okay.
200.
It seems like we have everything matches. It's altimeter 2971, but we'll keep it 2992.
Okay, set left.
It says mode Charlie for all taxiing and takeoff, which we'll have automatically. On departure, we'll maintain 25 knots until further instructions, and then 3000. And then it's information alpha.
Checked.
So that's everything we have for ATIS. So we can go ahead and tune into the next thing is just tower for them. So we'll go to 135.2.
Information alpha?
Yes.
That's what he said?
Yep. So I'm just gonna write down here Midway to Ottawa, and our call sign is UFLY 124, and then I have information alpha, and then we're at gate A14. Okay, so I'm gonna call for clearance here. Midway Tower, this is UFLY 124 requesting clearance to Ottawa. We're at gate A14, aircraft type Boeing 777-200LR, and we have information alpha.
UFLY 124 Midway Tower, thank you for Alpha. You should have a PDC.
Roger, looking for PDC, UFLY 124. Charts.
Left heading 180, clear for takeoff on 22 left for 2241.
So we're going to be taking the Midway 7, so KMDW, search this. Oh. KMDW, there we go. Let's go to the charts, and we're taking the SID for the Midway 7. So let's just quickly review this. I think it's pretty simple for the most part. So for all runways, we're on 22 left, which is good, and it's saying that all aircraft are assigned heading for radar vectors as filed, maintain 3000, and expect altitude after 10 minutes. So it's pretty simple here. It's just a straight out approach up till 3000, and we're taking assigned heading from radio vectors. So everything else looks good. Accelerate to 250 knots immediately upon entering outside laterals in the Class B airspace, which is fine, and then we can go above 250 when they give us the next vectors. Everything else looks fine. Our departure frequency looks like it'll be 119.0. That might change because that's Chicago, but I think they might just give us Chicago departure anyway because they're online. And then after that, we'll have Chicago Center, which is 120.35, but we'll put that in after departure, and I'll handle that for you. Everything else looks good. So that's pretty much it.
I just threw a rim around Midway Airport 4 miles as per the routing.
Perfect.
Complete initial assigned turns within 4 nautical miles of Midway Airport. So I just threw that in here.
Yep.
If they give us a turn, then we kind of know where it is.
Perfect. You'll be pilot flying. I'll be your PM, so I'll handle all your radios.
Okay.
And then you can do departure briefing when we get closer to the runway.
Sure.
Okay, EPU's on, so we're off the external power, and cabin windows are locked and closed. Seatbelt signs we can go ahead and turn on.
Southwest 1441.
Hydraulic pumps we can put into auto.
Winds 200.
Fuel
at
quantity
21,
checked is
gusting
19.1.
32,
Required block
22
fuel is
left, clear for takeoff.
18.7. Now we can turn on our fuel pumps.
Left heading 180, clear for takeoff, 22 left, southwest, 1440.
Beacon light's gonna go on, and MCP
November
is already set for our
335,
takeoff.
Papa,
CDU is
runway
also
22
set.
left,
Trim is
taxi
set,
via
and
Yankee,
we can put
cross
doors on
311
auto
and
position.
317.
There we go. Okay, we can go ahead and call for push clearance now. So
Cross
I'm gonna go ahead.
31 left and 31 center, 235 Lima Papa.
UFLY 124 ready for pushback.
UFLY 124, squawk mode Charlie.
UFLY 124 should be squawking mode Charlie, and we're at gate A14.
9.0, southwest, 40.
UFLY 124, I got you now. Push to start approved. Expect runway 22 left.
Expect 22 left and approved for the push and start. UFLY 124 heavy. Okay. Okay, we're clear. We can start number one.
Check.
Pull up the engine page here and just look for oil pressure.
With the 777, which one? At what point do you
At
guys have
5,
to
yeah,
feel?
you can fuel in now.
Well, we
All right. We got a good start on number one.
All right,
Starting to number
starting
two.
number 2. Put auto brake RTO here. Window heat's coming on.
Check. So I'll probably use some of my own SOPs, and then if you don't know what they mean, just let me know. and
Yeah,
I'll-
yeah.
So if I say something, you're like, what the hell?
This is good. I'm here to learn from you. I'm excited.
All right, stable engines.
Check.
Two good engine starts.
All right, so let's turn up the engine sound just a little bit here. That's good. Okay. Auto brakes are RTO. We're gonna reset flaps to 5 position here. Flight directors are good. We can reset these just really quick.
November
I think we're going to be
335,
taking heading
Lima
select on the
Papa.
takeoff.
Turn left heading
And just we're going to climb and
140.
maintain 3000.
Winds 200 at 21, gusting 32.
Let's do
runway
our
22 left,
after start
clear for takeoff.
checklist.
Okay, after start checklist.
Okay, engine
Runway
ice is
22
going to go
left,
on
clear for
auto.
takeoff after departure,
Recalls
left heading 140,
checked and clear. Auto
235
brakes are
Lima
set
Papa.
RTO. Flaps are in transition, just went to 5. And final load sheet is received. Flight deck door is closed, and we have this on position and TARA. Okay, after start checklist complete, we
Check.
can now call for taxi. All right, so we're taking 2 left. So let's real quick. Let's see where I'm gonna actually pull up this chart.
So we'll
Pull up-
probably taxi Tango Yankee.
Yes, we're just gonna pull up this.
Tango Papa Yankee.
Open this. UFLY 124, ready to taxi 22 left. Uh-oh.
UFLY 124, runway 22 left, taxi via Tango, Papa, Yankee.
Cleared to taxi 22 left via Tango Papa Yankee. UFLY 124 heavy.
All
Okay,
right, I checked Tango Papa Yankee as we briefed there.
Yep.
It's clear left.
clear on the right.
Okay, parking brake is off.
Tangle.
Tax light on.
Check.
I just armed the VNAV there for departure.
Yeah,
Yep.
that looks.
November 335, Lima Papa, contact Chicago departure 119.0 seal.
Contact departure 119, that's 00. Thanks for the service. See you next time. 225 Lima Papa.
I think the most fun taxiing is at Boston. Their taxiways are crazy with the crossing runways as well.
O'Hare.
O'Hare's pretty
O'Hare.
bad too, yeah.
Okay, straight ahead here.
Yep.
Through the apron.
Pretty much just following the outside of the
Yeah, right.
apron. All right, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's
load up
really weird.
our
I'm gonna take a picture.
backup frequency here, which is 120.35 here. Which
I'm
is good
actually
soon. You
gonna-
wanna?
Let's do the
yeah.
before takeoff checklist.
All right, flaps are set to 5. Transponders are gonna go TARA. That's check. Flight controls.
UFLY 124, turn left heading 160. Winds 200 at 21, gusting 32, runway 22 left, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff on 22 left, and we'll turn left heading 160 on departure, and we'll maintain 3000 until further. UFLY 124 heavy.
We didn't even call him, tell him we're
Yeah,
ready.
he's ready to go. I mean, we're the only airplane, I guess, in sequence right now.
Check. We'll stop here short of runway 22 left.
Yeah, we'll
do
do
our
flight
checks.
controls check again. Trim is already set, and we alerted the cabin crew already. We're gonna assume that is good.
All right, holding short runway 22 left.
Check.
Taxi lights off.
Okay, so we can just do a quick departure briefing. Anything else is good. Right now, our vector is going to be 160 instead of 227. So on departure, we'll maintain 3000 and 160. And then after that, we're going to assume he's going to give us our intended flight level and then direct to Luke.
I'm just going to set this one to the runway track just in
Yep.
case we have an engine failure.
Yeah, that's
we
fine.
can track runway heading.
So it'll be
I just remembered
227.
160 there.
Yep.
So 227. All right.
Perfect.
That way, if we do have an engine failure, we just go runway track there. At 400 feet, I'll just ask you to select heading
Heading
160.
select. Yep.
And that's it. Straight out departure.
You want me to
Awesome.
actually?
And clear takeoff.
Strobe lights coming on. Everything else is good. We'll chime the seatbelt sign just for the cabin crew, and everything else is good.
I have my weather radar on, and I checked the trim is 5.0.
Check. I have terrain on my side.
Checked. All right, you're all set?
All set for takeoff.
All right, runway 22 left, clear takeoff.
Check. Thrust ref. Takeoff thrust set.
Checked.
Airspeed alive.
And UFLY 124,
80
you
knots.
can
Check.
expect your frequency to be 7. I'll give it to you once you're up.
V1. And rotate.
3,000 remaining.
Positive rate.
Gear up.
Gear coming up. Flaps 1 speed check.
Flap 1.
Flap 1. UFLY 124, climbing 2500 for 3000.
UFLY 124 heavy, contact center on 120.35.
120.35, UFLY 124 heavy.
Flaps up.
20. Flaps coming up.
Autopilot's engaged.
Autopilot's engaged, and we'll do a heading select on 160.
Check.
Yeah, sometimes that autopilot doesn't come on.
Yeah, it's got to be in
You
the
have
right
to
trim.
set it. You have to set it to a certain the yoke.
All right, let's do our
And after takeoff checklist.
yes. Gear is up and check. Flaps are up. Check. Anti-ice is on auto. Lights for runway can come off, and APU can go off. After takeoff.
United 747, you can cross.
UFLY 124 with you at 3000.
UFLY 124, Chicago Center, welcome, climb, maintain fall 390, and resume normal speed.
390 normal speed, UFLY 124 heavy.
Alright,
Alright,
flight level
so we're
390
good to go
set.
direct to Luke.
124 radar contact, clear direct to Lukey.
There it is. Clear direct Lukey, UFLY 124 heavy. Execute.
Execute.
Check.
Alright,
LNAV.
LNAV's armed. LNAV Lukey, and we'll climb via...
Chicago Center, hello
just
again.
yeah,
Diamond
change our
235 Lima
VNAV.
Papa,
Yep.
course, low-key 3,000 corrections, 5,000 feet request.
That climb came pretty fast. It's a lot more
Yeah.
power than what I'm used to on my 727.
Is that right, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Roger, standby.
Yeah, like literally top of climb, like 10 minutes after departure.
Like a rocket.
Yeah, 3,000 feet came pretty quick on this
And
airplane.
the 612 that called, give me the call sign again.
Sent to you at 612.
Okay, so we have Chicago Center up until
reset transponder squawk
until
7244.
Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Then we're gonna lose them, so we're gonna be on Unicom until we get into the
10,000, climbing flight level 390, increasing speeds to 86.
acceleration confirmed. Oh, they're stepping on each other.
To 5,000, just passing 4,500.
Yeah, so we'll have a little bit of ATC gap in
Tyson one
between
was 7,
Michigan
7,000.
and then Ottawa.
Maintain 7,000, Tyson 1.
Dow 1081, Chicago.
So that means our arrival time should be about, what, 15 minutes earlier at least? Let's see. Yeah, 2041 Zulu at Luke. And then it says 2203 Zulu. We have a nice tailwind though, so it should
This is
speed up.
1441 Kansas City's offline. Radar service terminate. Change advisor approved. Have a good day.
So this is a good question. I was telling them when we had our previous stream is how often are you guys using flight change versus vertical speed? And I guess it depends on the scenario, of course, but
yeah, VS we use, like, if we're gonna, it all depends, pilot's discretion. I don't like to use VS too often unless we're just changing a couple thousand feet.
right.
On the Boeings we use the VNAV quite a bit. On the Embraers that I used to fly, we used to fly a lot of level change.
Right.
For climbing and descending.
Yep.
If you need to get down quicker, well, we just go level change.
Yeah.
It's idle thrust when we descend, so it depends how far you're going up or down.
Right.
And how steep you want to descend or climb. But otherwise, VNAV is generally the most common one to use.
I guess one thing when we're flying in approaches and we're descending towards the destination there, a lot of the time they'll give you restrictions, like they'll change your restrictions on altitude and speed. So when you put that into the CDU, you would have to re-engage VNAV, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing you have to do is the altitude intervene every time you get a new, and then re-engage VNAV again, right? Or does that?
No,
does
it should. If they descend us, say say they step us down to 27,000, you just set 27,000 and intervene and it should go.
And it should continue on the VNAV.
Yeah.
So you have to push that intervene button, right?
Yes. Right.
On the 737s?
On ours, we've got a button.
Yeah, this one you just click and click.
We just click it. Okay.
Okay.
And then if they give you a further descent, say they give you 27,000 feet, then they descend you lower. You have to hit it twice sometimes.
Right, right.
Go past the first one.
And then go again. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a fan of that button, or like that.
Yeah, they
system.
should really automate that. I feel because they have it in the bigger jets.
Flight level 380, climbing 390.
Check 1,000 to go.
It may not do this on the 777. I'm not as familiar with this system as the 737, but maybe we can see.
Yeah, we'll test it out.
Speed, VNAV path.
Check.
Well, I've tried it before. You don't have to press the button. It'll recognize it.
Oh, yeah?
When it gets to the top of descent, it'll start...
Yeah,
I mean, if you have the altitude in, yes, I think so.
But if you want to descend...
You have to change the altitude.
But
though.
if they give you different altitudes, you do have to put the intervene.
Yes, if the altitudes are different than the FMC,
right?
Yes, you do have to do that.
Yeah.
Let's speed up here. Mach 87 confirm.
Yep, confirm.
Oh, too fast.
UPS 20.
0.85 again, I guess.
Runway 20. Clear to land.
That's good.
20. Did it come? All right, I'll leave that then.
Right at that max threshold there.
Yeah, if they need you to descend earlier than top of descent,
then you have to use it.
Yeah, then that's
you kind of it's like an override on the FMC, right?
That's right.
Okay, I have to remember that.
Turn left heading 360. Vectors final. Maintain 210 knots.
All right, I'm just gonna pull up stuff for Ottawa here just so we can do some. Click erase fix maybe on the bottom.
Oh
left. Yeah. I think it's a little different. There we go. Yeah.
I sure am. Alrighty, stand by.
All right. Let's see here.
All right, our RVSM checks looks good.
All right, so our planned runway, it could change, but for now, according to weather, it is 07. So let's look at 07. Do you guys actually have, you don't have this frequency, right? Because usually you have centers no matter where you're traveling, unless you're doing transatlantic flights. But then you still have HF.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, normally he'll just give us contact whoever's next.
Actually should give us, I think we're going to be flying. Let me see. We have just a little gap, but we'll catch Charlie Zulu, Yankee Zulu center pretty soon. So I think what is our, it's the Vizol, right? Yeah.
Vizol, yeah.
Vizol intercept.
Speed 210.
And at Vizol, we got to be, where is it here? 3,000? Yeah, I climbed to
3,000 or above.
And then for missed approach, it's just, 3,000 or above, track 071, all the way to fly. That's all good.
And check the box, everything looks good in the FMC.
Yep, and then we'll just do holding pattern at T-fly in case of a missed approach / go around. And everything else looks good. I believe they're going to take over radar vectors. Oh, we are a little fast. That's okay.
Little bumps. Alright, what do I do? Maybe I'll just throw it in here.
Just do 0.85 should be good. Just a little lower.
Confirm.
Confirm. Alright, so for those of you watching on the screen there, you can see what we're looking at here is the Capital 5 arrival. And then we're going to be intercepting, what is it again? It is the Visol intercept. You can see here, according to our FMC here, we have everything else is already checked. So Maz already went ahead and checked that. So we have Myvik, and then we have Canik, and we're just checking the levels here. So at Canik it says 230 or below, which matches with the chart. Then at Lanark, you got to be 10,000 or below. That's checked. Track is 067 from there, and then we catch the Visol intercept after that, which we should be vectored to. But it's a pretty straight-in approach for us for the most part. If we look at plan and we step through our plan there, it looks pretty much exactly what we have. So it's a straight-in approach, a little bit of a left turn, but other than that, it's straight in.
Now there's the generic approach that most pilots are used to, and some airlines now are adapting a newer approach type that my airline has adapted.
Okay.
And it's a very modified approach where we both just kind of go through the FMC, kind of like what you did earlier.
Yeah.
Check the waypoints, and then there's not as much talking.
Right.
However, as I'm sure most of the guys watching are probably used to the generic approach, I'll just give you the generic one. So we're anticipating the Capital 5 arrival.
Correct.
Right now we're heading to London, and we can pick up the Capital 5 as per our flight plan from, I believe it's Maybach.
Yep.
So the Capital 5 arrival is on page 10/2, which is effective 29th of January 2024.
Yep.
The airport elevation for arrival is 377 feet.
Check.
And alt selection is at the flight level 180. That's pretty standard in North America.
Yep.
When you start
I
flying.
think it changes more in Europe. Sometimes
Europe,
8,000, 4,000,
yeah.
10,000 even. But yeah.
Mexico changes as well.
Yep.
Sometimes it's 19.5,
Oh.
17.5.
Okay.
So Canada, US, it's always 18.5.
And I would assume that changes based off terrain mostly, right? Or is that just like regulation?
No, regulations.
Oh,
probably.
okay.
So Capital 5 from Lanark. Sorry, Maybach is our first waypoint.
Yep.
After Maybach, we're going to Canuck at or below flight level 230. Now, these have all been verified in the FMC. I'm just going to kind of go over it here with you. And then for runway 07, Lanark expect to be below 10,000 feet.
Check.
After Lanark is to Visol. For runway 07, Visol at or above 3,000 feet.
Correct.
Max speed of 210. That, I believe, is just only for runway 14.
Yes.
After Visol, it's a straight-in approach. We can transition right into the approach for the ILS runway 07. That's on page 11/1, which is effective 25th of January 2024.
Check.
As we get a little bit closer, we'll have the identifier India Oscar Whiskey, which is 109.5, on our pilot flying display there, the top left-hand corner. We can verify that.
Yep.
Final approach course will be 071, and we'll have a glide slope over Amobi. It should be 1710, and that will match our Amobi 1710 there.
Yep.
We'll fly that down to a decision altitude of 573, which is already set. I've set 570 on my side here.
Let's do that.
Technically, I should be rounding it up to 580. Let's do 580.
Let's do 580. Perfect. All right, that is set.
Once we get the ATIS, if it's visual, we can elect to turn it off or just leave it as.
Yep.
That's the decision altitude. If there's no cloud to break to make a decision, if it's VFR, I mean, at any point you can discontinue the approach and go around. So
check.
Again, this is SOP based on your airline. Some airlines, if it's visual, you can turn it off. Some other airlines, you can just leave it on. So continuing with the approach, the airport elevation is 377 feet, and the MSA is 2,900 feet from India Oscar Whiskey.
Check.
In the event of a missed approach, we'll climb just runway track to 3,000 feet to Tefli and as a required shuttle climb.
Yep. So what can you explain to the viewers what shuttle climbing? What is that?
basically we can just continue circling until we get to 3,000 feet.
Right. Yeah. So
with-
it's like you can continue in the holding pattern and then slowly go up
That's
as you
right.
keep turning. Yeah.
On this airplane, it's not going to be an issue if you're flying
Yeah.
something a smaller airplane.
Yeah.
And if you can't get to TEFLI to 3,000 feet,
Right.
which is 10 miles. Again, depends on what airplane you're flying.
Yeah,
I
we'll have no
think-
problem with this one.
I
for
think
sure.
10 miles you should be able to make 3,000 feet in most airplanes that can
Yep.
fly in ILS approach usually.
100%. Most of the jets will easily do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says the localizer reliability is within 10 miles of either side of the center line.
Oh, this is a good one to discuss. I was actually discussing this with my dad yesterday. A lot of pilots fail their instrument rating. They mess up between MDA and decision altitude.
Okay.
So MDA is like used for, I would say, non-precision, right?
That's right.
And the way I see it, the way I remember it, is MDA means you cannot go below. It's a more of a line rather than a decision altitude, right? Like a
Yeah.
decision point. So the MDA is a line which you can't go below until you get to that certain point, and you're going to continue your approach. Whereas DA and then in brackets H, so decision height, that's the point where the pilots you would hear audible say continue landing, stable, and we're landing, right?
That's
you're
where
making
you make
the
a decision. Yeah,
right?
that's your decision altitude.
And obviously that matters more if you're having issues such as, let's say we have fog or we're in a cloud and we can't see the runway. So at that altitude we have to decide, okay, do we have the runway in sight? Is the airplane stable, and are we going to continue the landing?
That's right.
So it's a little bit different, but the main thing I would say is if you are a pilot in training, make sure you know the difference between those two, because a lot of people get caught on that. I've heard they get caught on that on their instrument rating.
And if you're setting an MDA minimums, you're adding 50 feet on top of that.
100%, yes.
Whereas with an ILS or LNAV, VNAV, you can just set the actual charted minimums.
Yes. And the reason again is because it's a point versus that ceiling,
That's
right?
right, yeah. I'll just continue with this briefing again. It's going to be a standard 3 degrees vertical glide slope all the way down to the vertical.
Yep.
We do have poppies on the left-hand side there. So I might at some point transition over to the poppies and fly it visually.
So that where he's seeing that, guys, is right here. So it tells you the type. Some runways and airports have different type of lighting systems, but it tells you right there what type of lighting system we have.
And for this approach, we need a RVR 26 or a half-mile visibility.
Yep. So this is usually, I think for ILS, they tell you in feet, and then I think for MDA sometimes they're calculating statute miles, right? That could change. I think it changes depending on the approach as well. But when you're saying RVR,
that's a runway visual range.
Runway
That's in
visual
meters.
range. Right.
When they give it to you in meters. It's usually when the weather's like really low or minimums.
Right.
You can either do 2600 RVR, 1200 RVR below. It's considered a Cat 2 approach.
Right.
So once we land off runway 07, we'll take our first exit to the left, which should probably be...
Yeah, so let's take a look here.
Now we do our suitability check, make sure 8,000 foot runway we can land today. We're light on this aircraft, we can do it.
Yeah.
Normally some airlines, again, you send your performance to Aerodata, they'll send you back your approach speeds and your landing distance required.
Yep.
We put that in. Some other airlines have an app where you put in your landing weights.
Yeah, your
and
performance,
calculate.
right? Yeah.
On this aircraft here, we don't have an app, so I'm just going to assume land with auto brakes 3
Yep.
for this approach.
Yeah, it is a pretty... it's funny that we got that one, but that's that one there, right? Or we're taking what? 07.
07, yeah.
Let's see. It's from this
It's
side.
on that
It's the
side.
shorter one, but it's not the shortest. So the other one is runway 32, which is 10,000, and we're landing on 07, which is 8,000.
8,000,
so
yeah.
it's should be fine. It looks like we're gonna probably exit on Foxtrot. I would assume we'd probably decel by then. If not, we'll take the last one.
On your flight plan there that you generated, does it give you landing weights based on like?
Let's actually take a look.
Yeah, it does actually.
It should give us estimated landing weight. Let's see. So let's go here to flight.
Oh, you passed it.
Did I?
Yep. Right in there.
Oh,
Yep.
there it is. So
The gross weight of the landing weight.
yeah, so this is all the information there.
That'll be...
To it, take off, landing, 198.
198.
So I'll just put that in. Oh, that's higher than what we got right now. I'll leave this one, and I'll plan a flap 30 landing.
Yeah.
Which will give me a speed of 130 on approach.
Check. I think the reason for the offset is because we did adjust the fuel, so that's probably what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, gross weight learning.
So once we vacate the runway, it'll be a left turn if we can make Foxtrot. If not, it will go all the way to the end.
Yep.
And then it'll be a left turn Bravo into the apron area.
Check.
In Ottawa, the apron area is uncontrolled.
Yes.
So who knows if we'll get ATC, if they'll tell us anything. But
probably not. Last time we
right,
landed Ottawa, it was pretty much just take Bravo to your selected apron.
So I guess it's in that I'm bigger, get out of my way.
I mean,
it's just inbound, outbound traffic. Really.
They're pretty good. They'll still, even though it's uncontrolled officially, they'll still tell you that there's other traffics and who's pushing, and all the pilots keep it generic, and they'll broadcast that they're pushing, or they also request push and start.
Yep.
Just so everybody else hears it and
they're aware of it.
Yeah.
All right, so we can.
That's funny.
Go over. Let's see what center's here. This is Toronto Center, so we can go over to Toronto Center now. We're getting close to their range, which is 125.775. So I'm just gonna check in with them.
The departure and the SID for cluster 2260.
2263, it's the KEPTA 2 departure with the bumper transmission. It should be the one you file.
So the KEPTA 2 departure and the bumper.
Well, that wind is changing quite a bit.
Right, 2263, that's correct. And information in Toronto is whiskey. Push and start at your discretion. Call ready for taxi.
We'll push and start at our discretion and call up taxis at 2260.
UFLY 124 with you at flight level 390.
Stand by.
Toronto, can I order?
Alright, first there was a UFLY, was it UFLY 124?
UFLY 124, check.
UFLY 124, Toronto, squawk it in.
This should already be.
Number 5038, the wind 1505, you're clear to land, runway 24 left.
It does work.
211 Toronto.
Just to tell you how I'm going to fly this approach here,
yep.
Just so you're aware of when I'm going to start my configuration. Probably you're starting approaching Visol. I'll have flap 1 before Visol.
Okay.
Over Visol, I'll request for flap 5. And then between Visol and Amobi, I'll ask for gear down flap 15.
Check.
And then probably just somewhere over Amobi there, I'll ask for the final flap 30, and we'll do our landing checklist. We should have us configured all the way for 1,000 feet by then.
Yep, confirmed.
So I'll probably just do a little bit earlier, set up a little bit earlier as well, just so we're not rushing on this airplane.
Yeah, I think right before Visual is where, the decels after Lanark, so we'll probably be at 210 up till Visual, and then speed at your discretion.
Yeah. But if I don't have the gear down approaching Amobi, just let me know that I had planned to have my gear down flap 15.
Okay.
Somewhere between Visol and Amobi.
Check.
If we do have to go around for any reason, I'll call go around thrust, flap 15.
So that's another good question we had the other day. When you're going around, are you actually just auto throttle off, of course, and then you're pushing the thing, or are you clicking toga for the go around?
I'm hitting the toga.
Toga button.
So when I hit the toga, I'll have my flight directors pushing up to the toga position, takeoff, and then I'll follow that and make sure my thrust levers, if I don't bring them up or they don't come up to the green detent, then you can just follow up with them. Yeah. And then once we're above VREF, we can select flap 15. And then after that, everything is going to be just like a normal takeoff, positive rate, gear up.
Yep.
And then once we're above 1,000 feet, we can start configuring with the flaps.
Check.
This airplane will nose up.
Oh yeah, just like the takeoff was pretty quick.
Yeah, no, it will nose up. If you press toga,
right,
it will accelerate and nose up.
Yeah.
You don't have to nose up.
Well, all that power generated just wants to kind of go with it.
Naturally bends the nose up. Yeah.
Okay.
There was an incident I saw. Oh, was that for us? No. There was an incident where they were doing a huge crosswind landing. I think you've probably seen the video. I think it was an Air Canada flight at Pearson, landing on 23.
The 777.
Yeah, and you see how it bounced like crazy. That was nuts.
Wobbly video, yeah. That was crazy.
Absolutely nuts. And there was another one. It was an American 777. I don't remember the airport, but They went for they hit toga for the go around, and then I think the pilot was already putting in elevator adjustment
Okay.
because of the wind. And when they hit toga, the plane obviously naturally pitched up, and they were already putting in adjustments, so they
They
pitched
had a
up
tail
like
strike
they
probably?
almost had a tail strike like right
Yeah.
at the runway. Scary stuff.
Yeah, these big airplanes, you got to be careful of that kind of stuff. You have so
Yeah.
much power.
Well, I think that because of the wind shear, they were maybe had some input and then decided, okay, wind shear, let's go around. But
Right.
by the time they hit toga and then tried to put the nose down, it was already too late. So, and those ones are the most dangerous when you're getting wind shear right at the runway threshold. I mean, it's already like you're kind of in God's hands, and you got to be super quick with the adjustments, right? So.
But when you go through your ATIS and you hear that there's wind shear on approach,
right?
And for example, right now we're in cruise. This is a great time where you talk about all those kind of threats. Like we talk about threats.
Yeah.
So we can discuss what kind of threats we can anticipate, and if we do have it, how we can anticipate mitigating it. That way we're both in the loop.
Yeah.
Right now in the cruise portion, we can talk about it, and if it happens, then it's not a surprise for both of us, right?
Right.
So with that being said, like what kind of threats do you anticipate us having on this approach today? What do you think?
I mean, we don't have real weather, so the weather looks to be good from our NOTAMs and our METAR going into Ottawa. The only thing, I don't think we have too much traffic going in there as well. So if we're behind an aircraft, like on an approach,
Yeah.
and maybe we're going too fast or they're too slow, we might need to go around. That could be like a threat. Not really a threat, but something to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. So a good way to mitigate that then, if we notice we're catching up to them, or if ATC tells us that they'll have to discontinue the approach, instead of hitting the toga button and doing a full go around, what I might like to do is just hit the alt, and I'll fly straight.
Right, maintain altitude, yeah.
Maintain altitude. We'll ask for a heading and altitude. I'll just set, for example, 4,000 feet.
Yeah.
I'll hit level change, and heading select will kind of go.
Right.
And then it'll be like a normal takeoff. I might even just elect to do VS and just climb like a nice, gentle climb, like 1,000 feet up. I don't want to hit the toga buttons, like say if we're discontinuing the approach at 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Just because it's a little too aggressive from 1,000 feet
yeah, you
to
don't
climb.
need to aggressively climb.
Yeah, so I'll just level off the aircraft and climb generally, say 4,000 feet.
Right.
Almost as if we were flying normal here, but then we'll just have to reconfigure the aircraft and bring the flaps up and the gear and flaps up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if the weather looks clear, I think that would be pretty much like a big thing, just spacing in between aircraft. Obviously, you still want to discuss your go around in case you're not stable for whatever reason. There could be mechanical turbulence, but again, that's usually if you're having like wind or stuff like that on the approach. What else? What else do you look out for?
Ottawa, I mean, this is a shorter runway.
Yeah, so you're doing the performance, right? You're doing performance calculations, and
Yeah.
usually that'll tell you where you'll end up when you're decelling and stuff like that on the runway.
Yeah, on this airplane here. Again, I wish if we had that calculations, we would know. But perhaps I might
It's in the works. So what we're actually doing is I just talked with Gabriel. So what I'm going to be developing, I do computer science when I'm not flying. So we're going to be developing an app where people can train air traffic. So it'll have a selection of airports with pre-recorded air traffic.
Okay.
They kind of use that actually when they're doing IFR training in some airports, but it's all mechanical and they're put it into a box. So we're making a digital version of that basically. So you can select the airport and each level of air traffic. And it'll play the prompt, and what you do is you'll respond to the prompt, and it'll record what you're saying, and it'll tell you where you made a mistake or what you missed.
Cool.
Like using AI and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
And then I'm also developing a performance calculation app for this sim as well for the people. I mean, not many people use it, but you know, people that are flying, and then if we're doing pilot assessments or bringing in air cadets and stuff, it could be useful, right?
Cool. Yeah, my airline uses an app, and we just plug in our landing weights, the runways, the wind, altimeters, and it'll generate like our landing distance required.
Does your airline give you electronic flight bag, or do you just bring your iPad with you, like where you go?
No, we have electronic flight bags, which is an iPad.
Right. Okay.
And then we have certain apps on there based for our performance.
Gotcha.
For this runway here, since we're landing, I'll because I think it's pretty short, I'll use full reverse.
Yep.
But after the full reverse, once I commit to full reverse, we can't really go around after that.
Right.
Once the thrust reversers have been deployed, we're committed to landing there. So hopefully, I'm confident on this 777 we can land on the 8,000 foot runway.
Should be good.
That's all I got to add for the briefing.
Pretty simple, yeah, pretty simple stuff. So we'll be top of descent after SICBO, and we're still 81.5 nautical miles out from SICBO. So this is, I guess, another good question for people watching. This ceiling for the speed, how do you, or how, maybe you want to explain how that's generated? Because we were going, I think what it was, 280 earlier, and now we had to decel to about 265.
So as we get higher
yeah.
in altitude, the density of air all changes. So as we just start descending, that barber pole will go away from us as well, so we can start accelerating as well.
Yep.
So, for example, if we did need to go faster right now, we can request a descent.
Right.
And as we descend, that red barber pole will generally start marching away from us, and we can increase. And same if we keep continuing climbing, say if we have to go to 41,000 feet, and the yellow band on the bottom would probably start creeping up as well.
Right.
So we might have a very small margin.
Window.
Yeah, very small margin to play with.
Now, even though it shows our airspeed at 265, of course that is that's different from our actual what our ground speed is, or TAS.
Yeah.
Which is 480, which is quite fast, of course. And that obviously is dependent on wind, the density of the air, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how's the experience with the air traffic? What do you think comparing it to like your real life?
I say it's pretty good. They're doing a good job. Yeah. Obviously, in Canada, it's not very busy. And like you're saying, like this time of day right now on line right now.
Yep.
But in the U.S., flying even such a short flight, you're constantly changing frequencies. Changing frequencies.
Yes, let's see. Well, you can actually see right now now you can see that there's more. They're starting to come online. So we have a bunch on the west coast, and then a lot of the east coast and the central areas starting to come online.
Is it the yellow ones? Like.
So the yellow ones are actually, so A just means arrival. So each one, like T, G, A, and then all that. But the white ones are actually the centers.
Oh, I see.
Center sectors.
So when they light up, that means
exactly. So we're actually flying through, like if this is white, we're actually flying through the Toronto Center right now. That's us right there.
And someone's monitoring that one?
Exactly, yeah. Okay. Toronto Center is monitoring that one, yeah. And then as we get closer here, we're going to probably switch over. Actually, we probably wouldn't need to switch over. We'll probably follow Toronto Center all the way in, and then we'll catch Ottawa Tower and arrivals.
Right. No, these guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, it's super, but it's definitely a cool job, especially for air traffic trainees. So for people watching, if you're interested in being an air traffic controller, this is a great way for you to get experience in a simulator environment before going and doing your exams. It's really interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen like an air traffic simulation unit. Like usually in the tower, they'll have a level where they have that simulation floor.
Okay.
And instead of obviously real radar, it's just a bunch of massive screens with like
fake simulators.
It's basically like this, but they show the aircraft and then all the screens you would have as an air traffic controller.
Right.
And it's like crazy. They have like maybe 12 screens to look at. But I mean, you know, people think being a pilot is stressful, which it does get stressful. But air traffic control is like on a pretty crazy like level, and I think they only do what 4-hour. They do 4-hour shifts, and then they have a massive break in between because of the amount of load you're
I would
taking.
imagine at some airports it's even less than that. Like if you went to like Newark, JFK, LaGuardia, Albany.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Teterboro. There's like those 5 airports in like a 5-mile radius, 10-mile radius.
Yeah.
It is so busy there.
Yeah.
ATC in that area does an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's crazy if you ever listen to like the live ATCs there, or if we even, I'm sure here they would have to do the same thing.
Oh yeah, even when Gabriel first heard the frequency, I mean, they talk fast because they have to.
Yeah.
And it's not, some people think like, oh, they're assholes. They're just talking like super. No, it's like, dude, they're dealing with like 40 aircraft on the ground at the same time. You got to be crazy fast. But I mean, it comes with practice and experience, like reading back all that stuff. And eventually, you know, some shorter stuff you don't have to write down, like your just memory items, right?
Yeah. Most of the pilots that fly into some of these busier airspaces, that's generally the airports they try to avoid. But unfortunately, that's the airports that they can't avoid because it's so junior.
They're the big hubs, yeah.
No, it's like nobody likes to fly into some of these airports like LaGuardia and Newark, JFK.
Yeah.
Because it's so busy. So generally, the junior pilots get stuck doing those. And it's ironic because the junior pilots are not experienced enough to fly in there, or like their ears not sharp enough to listen. but you learn quick. You fly
Yeah.
in there after like 2 weeks.
You have to.
You become an expert.
You have
practically.
to. Yeah. I mean, it's also a lot of whole bunch of pre-planning, right? So everyone thinks like, oh, okay, you fly 124. Go ahead.
UFLY 124 for your planning purposes. It's runway 07 in Ottawa. Information is Yankee.
We have information Yankee, and we're planning for 07. UFLY 124 Heavy.
All right, perfect. So just basically as we briefed it.
That's good. They actually was expecting that a little bit later, but they gave it to us pretty early here. But we are coming up on top of descent, so these guys are pretty on top of it, like for the most part. There's only that really like the ones that are starting off that are younger. Sometimes will like miss the cues of when to do it, but other than that, you'll hear like most of these guys are senior. Like especially the bigger airports like Pearson, Boston, JFK. They're all senior air traffic. Some of them are even like retired air traffic, and it's
just don't want to let it go, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if they're just sitting at home. Most of them are not flying heavy aircraft. It's the regionals, so they're doing 737s, A321s. Because obviously for the bigger airplanes, we're not going to be flying from Midway to Ottawa unless we're cargo. And even cargo, they're doing 767s most of the time. Sometimes 747s, but even those are getting phased out. I think a lot of them. But yeah, I mean, these are usually flying anywhere 3 hours and above at least for the 777s, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be fuel efficient to fly these guys.
Yeah. Now you can generally do anything you want with this ATC. Like if you were just doing circuits,
you could. Yeah.
Like with some of our customers coming in and they just want to do like the general basic package.
Yes.
That we just say
so the only thing that we found restrictive about that is in the hour, especially if they don't have, if they're just general public, they're not pilots.
Right.
They're spending so much time overwhelmed by just the flight controls, right? So we wouldn't probably offer it to them. It would probably be a separate program. If they do, if the general public wants to do it, they would have to do it in steps. So you got to come in once and learn the sim.
Right.
And then the instructor has to be sure that, okay, this guy can fly the plane while I'm doing comms.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just like, if doing both is like really, like while the customer is with you and you got to do flying and the ATC, it's a lot.
So if you screw up, you're
they'll yell at you. Yeah.
Or he's increasing his workload. He's got to move other aircraft and traffic to accommodate you.
It's like almost obviously they know you're learning, so there's a little bit of a thing, but if you're making a big mistake, they'll tell you, hey, you got to get off the network.
Yeah.
If you don't, they'll kick you out. There's a way they kick people out.
Okay. Yeah, they'll push you off the network. Yeah. Yeah, usually sometimes you'll hear like really young pilots, maybe like younger than 16, get on here. You could tell by their voice.
Yeah.
And then they're reading back stuff incorrect like a bunch of times. They're not following the departure SID and stuff like that. And they're like, hey man, sorry, I know you got to boot you off. Yeah.
No, this is good for those guys who like when you do your videos, like when UFLY does the videos on Fridays and you're flying to different airports.
Yeah, so tomorrow we're doing a stream. So the other ones we didn't do air traffic live. We did because usually we bring a student.
Okay.
But tomorrow it'll be me and Claudio flying with the air traffic.
Okay.
So that'll be the first time for that. But hopefully with the Air Force and the cadets, and then when we're opening this up, maybe a pilot like yourself is going. Maybe need some reoccurrence practice on ATC or stuff like that. It does help. Obviously, if they're not flying a 777, the flying portion is a little different. But I mean, most of the Boeing systems are still pretty similar. Just a couple things here and there. See, like this guy's like sounds maybe like 13, 14. You see, he's messing up there. He's a little nervous.
Sorry. But you know what? This is great that they have this technology.
Them, right? Yeah. Even when I was way younger, I didn't know about this until way later, and I would fly the simulator all the time. And then, luckily, when I was younger, I mean, not in North America, but in Asia, I got to sit in the cockpit with my dad a lot.
Okay.
I think it was mainly when he was flying the Q400, though. Once you go into the jets, it gets way more strict for sure there as well. But that was like when I was like, okay, I heard the comms and I was like, okay, this is a lot. It's a lot.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. But, a lot of people like look at me and they're like, you're young and you know all this stuff. And it's like, well, it's because I've just been practicing like for so long.
But
and that's all it is. Like
sometimes it's all that overwhelming stuff that gets you that bug. Like you see it and you're like initially you walk into this flight deck, every kid that walks in the flight deck, they see all these buttons, they're like,
holy shit,
whoa, right? But like, why would anybody be like, that's the job I want to do. You see all these buttons, I want to learn all that.
Oh yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's a sense of like, I want to fly this, I want to learn all this, I want to hear all this.
You feel good. You're like, okay, if these guys are handling this, I want to get to the point where I can handle all this.
So I think it takes a certain
I watched
person.
a video yesterday because I talk to people doing their PPL all the time. And obviously, it's not a cheap thing to do, right? You are investing a lot of your money, so you got to be sure that you have the work ethic and the determination to make sure you follow through. Like even if you go to like a what is it, a 121 ATP school, it's a lot of money. Like it's I think around 100,000 of debt. Obviously, once you start flying, you'll pay it off, but you got to make sure you follow through with that. And I saw a video yesterday of a pilot. I think he was 35. He was doing his PPL. It's never too late as long as you have the motivation, right? But I think he was like 20K in, maybe 40 hours, and he was super unconfident. And he's saying like, damn, some people are finishing their PPL in 40 hours. You know, and some can, but the average I think is what, 60 to 70.
Yeah.
Because of you just got to be confident in your flight time.
Yeah.
But imagine going, you know, doing the 40 hours and he lost that confidence and you're already like 20K into it, and then they quit. And I'm like, man, you did a lot of the hard part already. You finished ground school. Like, you might as well just go that extra step and take that, knowing that you'll be good later, right?
Well, the learning curve at that stage as well is so
it's high. It's high.
So the workload, the learning curve again, it's just so much. So yeah, if you can get through that stage, everything else comes a little bit easier.
Comes easier.
That's the hardest part. You're learning everything from the actual airplane, the comms.
And I was just talking to the client that came in here asking. He was doing his PPL asking about air traffic comms and stuff, and I was telling him, but he was saying all of that at once for sure is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And that's where you're kind of like, you're working overtime. And I was telling him that the best way, I think, if you have the privilege, is like 240, you fly 124 heavy.
All right, flight level.
Our discretion, you fly 124 heavy. So we can start at top of descent anyway. We can keep following our VNAV. Because, yeah, we got to be at 230 by Canic anyway. So
check.
So yeah, I was telling him, if you have the chance, like what I did before I even went into flight training is, like, obviously my dad's a pilot, so I was always into flying, but learning, watching YouTube videos, going through the PPL handbook before you even go into the training itself, like even flying the simulator, like it helps. Like people might think like, okay, it's not the real thing, it's a little different. Of course, it's not exactly the same, but like going through the motions, even the communication, like if you have that down and you have that like muscle memory kind of like trained,
yeah,
it makes it a lot easier. Like
absolutely.
When you're going through it.
Yeah.
But if you're facing it like head on, that stuff like it's hitting you in the face like a truck.
Yeah.
That's aeronautics, like weather, you're learning all the math, you're learning the engineering of the airplane, the physics, like all of it at the same time. It's like,
a lot.
Holy crap.
It's a lot. And what gets you continuing is that drive, the passion for aviation, generally, you know?
Yeah. And it's also insane that a lot of people, I think, like I always loved aviation, and before aviation I wanted to be an astronaut, and then I tuned it down. I was like, okay, maybe not an astronaut, I'll be a pilot. But before then is like doing that, I think they call it an introductory flight. I mean, most flying clubs do it.
Yeah.
But just getting to sit in the cockpit and then they let you actually fly a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that, and I tell them like, you should really do that, because that feeling you get is what is gonna give you that initial like, okay, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
After that, it's all like mental fortitude, really, like when you're going through the thick of it.
The great thing here at UFLY is that you can offer that exact same thing, right? Some people are actually afraid of going in an airplane and flying, whereas you can come here and do that exact same thing. You have that exact same atmosphere.
Yeah,
this
and
airplane,
you're doing it in one of the queen of the skies, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're on the ground, you know. So if you're uncomfortable about flying, do it here. You get that little bug, that passion. You're like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And then you can take the next step and go pursue that career.
100%.
So because I'm gonna plan on flying at this speed, I might start descending a little bit sooner than the top of descent.
Okay.
Just in case, because once we get on to our path.
So this is the case where you would use flight level change, right? To maintain the speed and descend, or I guess the
I
ceiling
can,
will change.
but I'll probably just do a general like 1,000 feet per minute descent early.
Okay, gotcha.
Just so the barber puller does eventually go further away.
Right.
If I do level change now, it's going to do an idle descent, so the rate of descent is going to be a lot higher. You'll probably get 5,000 feet per minute,
yeah.
especially at these speeds. and that's a little bit too steep, and I don't want to be that far off my path.
Right.
So if I was flying slower, for example, if I changed my cruise speed right now to transition, so this is, so descend is 270. Yeah, so it'll maintain this speed here until we hit 270. It's going to maintain that 270. It may do a pretty good job right now just because there is no wind.
Yeah.
When I go into, there's no headwind or tailwind right now.
Yep.
If we did have a tailwind, definitely I would want to slow down because that little push is going to put us right
further
into
the
overspeed.
range. Yeah. So what was for the people watching? What was kind of like your path? Like, what made you get into like aviation and then you know, decide to do your PPL and go even further? Did you kind of always know you wanted to do that, or was it something that you decided later on?
No, for me it was same as like most kids. At an early age, I was 4 years old. We used to travel a lot.
And you said you wanted to fly.
Yeah, like we used to travel all the time, and my face was glued to the window looking down, and I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And eventually, as you get older, and you're like, you know what, I kind of want to pursue that dream.
So did you go into training right out of high school, or did you also do secondary and then airlines?
I did the college program for aviation.
Okay, yeah.
And that college program
So
had.
I think what do they call that? Is it aviation and aeronautics, or it might be different now? But.
It's different now.
Yeah.
When I did it, there was only, for example, one university in Canada that offered it, and there was only a couple of colleges in Canada that had an aviation program.
Right. Yeah.
And then now,
I think the most popular one is in Waterloo. They have that one, and then I don't know if UFT does it now, but Waterloo is like where most aviation kids are.
if you want to get,
going,
there's Conestoga College that does it as well.
Yeah.
But
Which
now
is also in Waterloo. Yeah.
Yeah, Kitchener.
Yeah,
or Cambridge
Kitchener,
area, just south. But now, like, everybody does it.
Yeah.
So as we're getting closer here, I'm just going to start an early descent. Let's go. So vertical speed, 1,000 feet down.
Good afternoon. If you're doing any kind of compression, I need you to stop now. You're starting to approach some terminal airspace.
There you go. Someone's getting yelled at. Not following the regulations.
Yeah, you hear that, eh?
Yeah.
What was he doing? If you're doing...
I think he was... Oh, no.
122. If you have time acceleration on, stop it now. I need you one time only.
Yeah.
Oh, time acceleration. That's what I was telling you, where
Yes.
he's going fast.
Yeah. So you're in a sim on this network. You're just not allowed to do that.
Okay.
Because it's real time. So
Screws up everybody
Yeah, it
else's
screws
stuff.
everyone else's sequencing.
It screws up the controller.
So this guy's probably doing like a 5-hour flight, and he's like, "Oh, I'm at cruise. Let me just two times the flight."
Well, that's kind of what I did by flying just below the barber pole, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, you changed the speed.
No, he did the sim
Right.
time.
No, that's
Speed is fine.
Sim rate.
Yeah, he did sim rate
So
acceleration.
I'm just coming onto the path here, so I'm going to switch over to VNAV.
Yep.
So it should continue down slowly. So I don't know why.
Yeah, it's gonna pitch down.
Normally it would have just pitched down to get the speed.
The speed, yeah. I think
there
that
it
is
goes.
also a sim calibration thing.
No, it's going now.
Yeah.
No, I might just change it to 295 here.
Yeah, we might get the overspeed there.
Confirm?
Confirm.
Ottawa altimeter is 3016.
3016 and 8000 on UFLY 124 heavy.
UFLY 124 heavy. What approach? 07.
I believe we're doing the Capital 5.
No, the ILS. Is that?
Yeah, Capital 5 into the ILS 07.
Okay, copy. ILS 07. Plan on that. Westjet 1428. But leave my airspace to the south. The Cleveland Sun is not
So normally what they do, because remember the last controller told us for the ILS 07?
Yes.
Where they talk to each other in real life, whereas I guess they don't here, right?
Yes.
Because this guy asked us which approach we're doing.
Was that for us? Might be for us.
I didn't hear you.
No, Air Canada.
No, Air Canada.
Yeah, Air Canada. Yeah, so the reason they did that is because they actually do communicate with each other, but if there's a discrepancy like in between,
okay,
that's usually when they miss that. Like if we're flying through a Unicom zone,
right,
then they don't, because that guy in the middleman's missing.
Okay.
So this Toronto Center guy
So they
did get
even do it,
handed off.
Okay,
But if
that's
we
cool.
were to, for example, we were to fly from Toronto into what is this one here, Boston Center,
Yeah.
they would actually hand it off.
Okay.
And they would know. Yeah. It really just depends on who's online.
623, confirm your passing altitude.
But the Toronto Center guy is usually really good. Like he's on top of most of the stuff. So is Boston Center. Those are
I'm
my
just
two
going to increase speed again. Just confirm.
So that's what he was saying, guys, earlier when I was asking him. You can see that the ceiling there on our speed is the red gauge is slowly moving up as we're descending. So he's increasing the speed as we're descending.
Just so we can go in faster. We're not wasting time sitting here.
Yep. Obviously, he's not getting paid by the hour here, so
yeah, exactly.
he's trying to speed it up and
get
out of here quick, which is totally fine. In a real plane, though, you know you're getting salaried, so it's okay if you follow in the descent profile.
Also, if you fly with a lot of junior pilots, they generally like to fly slower just so they can build more time.
Oh yeah.
And then when you're flying with the more senior pilots,
they're trying to just get there and get to the hotel, man.
Yeah, they want to go home to the family. Never mind.
Not just that, but they're thinking of the on-time performance. So if you're about 5 minutes behind, 10 minutes behind, you can make up that time pretty quickly by cutting, like asking for shortcuts or increasing your speed. Whereas, you know, you're thinking about that stuff, but the junior guy is just like, he doesn't care about that.
Yeah, he just wants to build some more time. Yeah, he doesn't want to sit there.
Build up the hours.
So this is another fun topic. I literally had like a little, not an argument, but like a little back and forth with my dad because you know, he's flown all over the world, but a funny thing with airlines is they think when you go from FO to captain, you keep your ranking. And yes, you rank up from FO to captain, but you actually lose seniority in most airlines. So you have junior FO, and then you go senior FO, and then when you become a captain, you actually become a junior captain, and then you work your way up as a captain. So something that pilots deal with is like bidding, which is like getting the routes that you want and stuff like that, and the timings that you want, and then your vacations and all that. So when you actually go from a senior FO to a junior captain, you actually get less priority on those biddings. So that's something interesting where like in a regular workplace when you're going, I guess, from you know, an entry level to like supervisor, manager, you're keeping that, right? So it's a little different in airlines, similar to like military and stuff like that.
In Canada, it's more seniority based bidding, so that's the way it works. In other parts of the world, it's everyone's the same. So whether you're whether you're once you're a captain or FO, doesn't matter.
I see.
They have groups like Group A, B, and C, and generally Group A can bid for the better flights, and then Group B and Group C don't get anything.
My dad's flown. He's flown for Ethiopia, India, all like Bangladesh, all over, and they kind of follow the same thing as U.S. Canada. So maybe in other parts of like Europe and maybe East Asia and stuff like that might be different.
Like Middle East is like that.
Yeah, Middle East. Yeah.
Like for example, Emirates, there is no seniority-based bidding.
Right.
There's groups, and 1 month you're in the Group A where you can choose a lot of the desired flights.
Yeah.
And the next month you're in Group B, which is like the not so much desired, and then the third month.
So you're just rotating.
So just keep rotating.
I
so
see.
That way every pilot.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
So a lot of people like it because it's pretty fair.
Yeah. So that's what I was talking to him about. Is that one of his FOs was. One of his FOs was deciding whether he wanted to stay as senior FO or whether he wanted to take the jump to a junior captain. And yeah, he had a family. He was a little bit of an older FO. So it made more sense for him to be to maintain his senior FO position due to bidding, so he can manage his family a little bit better, right? So that's something that pilots deal with all the time, which is, it kind of sucks in a way because you know that pride from going from FO to captain. It feels good, but then you have to take in that that little cut, I guess, in a sense. Not a pay cut, but bidding cut, seniority cut.
No, in North America, it's all about your lifestyle.
Yes.
Quality of life. So we're just coming through transition here. So set the 3016 inches.
Charlie Center 2546 requesting FR clearance to Verde Cuba with information X-ray.
Oh, we should actually set 299 too, because again, not real
weather.
weather.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, otherwise it would be this.
Cleared to Veradero via the Beats Tree era transition and departure runway.
So if you guys can see from that back camera, we have something called a I don't know what you call it. I think we call it banana arc.
Yeah.
So that's just where we're expected to reach, in this case, flight level 8,000, which is right after land arc, which is good because at land arc we're supposed to be 10,000 or below, which is what the B stands for. So
for flight level, they just generally anything above 18,000 they call flight level.
Yeah.
So you could just say 8,000.
8,000, yeah.
I'll probably start slowing down just after land arc.
Yep.
We got about 28 miles there to.
And that matches what we have here. The decel is after land arc.
Where's the decel here? Just the green dot there, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're probably gonna slow down on here on the casual talk and focus in a little bit on our approach.
Let's do an approach check coming up to 10,000 feet.
Yep. All right, so landing lights can go on.
Check.
Seatbelt signs are gonna go on. And we're doing our descent here. Seatbelt signs are on. Check. Altimeters, we just changed it to 2992. Cross check. Reference speeds, we're gonna be doing a flap 30 with a 4,000 on UFLY 124.
All right, set 4,000 feet.
4,000 check.
Speed brakes are closed.
All right, so it'll be a 130 VRAF plus 5, so 135. Auto brakes are set on 3. Recalls are check, and minimums are set to 580. And our arrival briefing, we've already done that while we were in cruise. And as we get closer, we'll do our approach checklists.
Over at your 11 o'clock, he's level at 360. He's also inbound to Chicago. I think your spacing's good now, so you can do speed your discretion. Just keep an eye on him.
Roger, we appreciate it. Over to you, United 1538. Have a great day. Thanks for ATC. See ya.
Take care.
Flight level 270.
So you'll be playing, you'll edit these videos and post them on
yep.
Instagram, TikToks, and all that?
These longer ones won't go on like the small socials, so mainly YouTube and Facebook. Maybe we'll get some shorts like the approach and the and the takeoff. Maybe I'll make it into like some shorts there.
I like this. This ATC is pretty cool.
Yes,
this is
good.
Very accurate to
he's
like
very good.
Real life.
Have a good day.
Very accurate.
Air Canada 122, turn right 10 degrees, you're clear the ILS, runway 24 left.
Who else? Do we know who else on the UFLY team is a real line pilot? Might be only you right now, right?
No, a bunch of them. Felipe?
Oh, Felipe
yeah,
does.
Felipe
okay, yeah.
Is another one. Yeah.
Kamyan?
Kamyan, I don't think I've met Kamyan.
Yeah.
He's at AC as well.
Wait, was he there at the dinner?
I missed the last dinner, but I think he's been at some of them.
Yeah. I don't think he was at the last one.
And then we have the I think I can't remember his name. That
Liam.
He comes in. Yeah. I think that's the one. He
Australian
hangs around with Felipe a lot.
Okay.
X-ray plan for 24 left, Air Canada 3934.
He was cargo before.
So we're coming up on Visel here. So are we gonna maintain 240? You wanna slow to?
I'll probably let's go flap 1 now, and then that should help us slow down for speed 210.
Okay.
Speed 192.
All right, so we can do our approach checklist here. Radio and altimeter is check. Course is auto. Clear for ILS 07 on runway 07, and we're down to 3,000 for UFLY 125.
Oh, what's this doing now?
I caught the loco already. All right, VRAF speeds are check, and alert the crew for landing check, and we've already checked the maps and the charts, so we're all good.
Check.
Speed and flaps your discretion.
India Oscar Whiskey for the ILS is identified on my side here. Basically, I'm just looking up here,
check.
Which is the same as up here, 109.5.
Yes.
And I've captured the loco already.
All right, we'll swap over to the pilot cam here. We'll go phone. Confirm switch there, Gabriel.
Confirm.
So it's having a hard time to slow down here for Visol to be max speed at 200 knots in the next 10 miles.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just add flap 5 now, see if that'll help me.
Flaps 5.
Otherwise, I'll use the speed brakes.
Check.
There it is. Slowly, it's coming back.
Yeah. You can always
and
use
as you
speed
can
brakes
see,
too, right?
our little arc there is showing me that I'm not going to be there. So
maybe speed brake. Yeah.
So I'll use a little bit of speed brake there.
Sorry, say that again.
There it is.
And I check our glide slope is alive.
Check.
122, altimeter 3003.
And looking outside, I can see the runway straight ahead of me.
Check. Nice straight in approach. Pretty easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we are storing the electronic devices until no safe talk to the gate. As use of such device could
Speed race closed.
Check.
on board the aircraft. In final preparation for landing, please ensure your seatbelts are securely fastened, your seatbacks are in the upright position, and your tray tables are stowed. Any hand luggage should be underneath the seat in front of you or placed in the overhead locker. The flight attendant will be passing through the cabin one last time to complete the final compliance check.
44 descending 8,000. 8,000. Can I sound so full?
So he should switch us to tower pretty soon, I guess, right?
Yep. It should be easy. Oh, I think, yeah, it's 118.8.
4,000 feet descending 3,000 feet.
Check.
1015 Toronto.
I think right after we pass Visel, he'll probably swap us over.
There, actually, Delta 1015. All right, push back. Tail to the east of Colorado.
Unless he gets busy, which in that case I'll call him.
UFLY 124, you can contact down
there it is.
now, 118.8. Have yourself a good rest of the day.
118.8, thank you for the service. UFLY 124 Heavy. UFLY 124 Heavy, we're established on the localizer for 07.
UFLY 124 Heavy, Ottawa Tower, good afternoon. Winds are 090 at 9. Clear to land, runway 07.
Clear to land, 07, UFLY 124 Heavy.
Alright, check clear to land.
Check. Runway lights coming on. Auto brakes are 3. Flaps are currently 5. We'll decel in a second. Alright. So you did want to decel for a Mobi when we did our briefing, right? So
yeah, so somewhere in between here.
Yeah.
Speed slowly coming back. We can just go gear down now, flap 15.
Gear down, flaps 15.
Taxiing to the terminal.
He's just asking us if we're going to taxi to the terminal.
Yeah, UFLY 124 Heavy. We'll just we'll get off on Foxtrot, expecting, and then taxi to the apron.
I'm gonna have you plan for gate 20 or gate 15. Your choice for Heavy.
We'll take gate 15, UFLY 124.
All right.
Gate 15.
Glide slope 2,000 feet is set for the missed approach.
Check.
And let's go flap 30.
Flap 30.
And landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Auto brakes 3. Flaps 30 transition. Gear down. Landing and runway lights are on. Seatbelt sign is on. And speed brake is armed. Landing checklist complete.
Check. We gotta get you cleared to Montreal. So are you ready to copy clearance?
Just give me one moment, please.
Sorry, guys.
Copy.
Good.
Speed 135.
Check. Alright, we're coming up on 2,000. Good on Loken glide slope. So a lot of people ask us to, just a quick tidbit, is like, when do the pilots disengage autopilot and take over on ILS? I guess it changes a lot, but...
it's pilot's discretion.
Yeah.
If the weather sucks, you generally keep it longer.
Yeah.
On a beautiful day like this,
Probably
I like to hand fly it a lot
hand fly
longer.
it, yeah.
Yeah. And the sim, it always feels different than in real life.
Yep.
So I'll disconnect here now, and you'll see I probably won't do as great as I would normally. But
it's all right.
Yeah,
it should be better though. I did try and calibrate the handling a little bit.
So I'm going to go manual flight now.
Check.
Off disengaging autopilot and auto throttles.
Check. One thing I will say, flying from the left seat, the visual is a little bit off. So you definitely want to follow the FD
it's
as
gonna
much
feel like
as
you're
you can.
crabbing.
Yeah.
And you might be a little crabbing because of the winds, but
no, it's only 4 knots.
Correcting speed.
So.
And correcting glide slope.
Check.
Mike Bravo Zulu, engine start approved, wind 090 at 9, altimeter 3016, call me back ready to taxi.
Roger, thank you.
1000 check.
Check, stable, continue.
And Mike Bravo Zulu, apologies, squawk 1125 while you're setting up.
1125 macro 0.
Confirm 07.
Correcting light soap. And transitioning. Continuing.
Minimums.
And I'm transitioning onto the poppies from here.
Yep.
And you can turn my flight director off, please.
Flight director off.
Thank you. Correcting speed.
Check.
Mess hasn't been on here for a long time.
It's
right?
tough. It's tough when you go from the real thing to
No,
this.
he hasn't been on this simulator for a while.
Oh yeah.
He's been
I
busy.
mean, even if you really fly and then you transition over, it's
it's
way
different. Way different, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to point out my faults right now, but guys can't see that in this.
All right, reverser's green. You hit your toes too. I think there's an issue with the auto brakes. Give it some toes there.
It should be braking.
Yeah,
it's
it already went to manual braking.
It does. Sometimes it doesn't.
All right, 65.
It calls out before you put the brakes on.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the manual braking now.
And UFLY 124.
That's Foxtrot on the left.
Exit at Foxtrot, left on Bravo, apron at your discretion to gate 15, gate 15.
All right, we're left on Bravo, and then apron at our discretion for gate 15, UFLY 124.
All right, left turn here on Foxtrot.
Yep.
Left turn, Foxtrot, and Bravo.
Auto brakes coming off. Taxi lights are already on.
Yeah, the calibration is a lot better. I've noticed.
It's it behaves more like a heavy plane now. Yeah.
It was too sensitive before.
Sensitive.
Yeah.
All right, runway lights turning off, strobe lights coming off, and these are all good.
That's too bad Ryan can't edit this like they do with the music. When somebody can't sing at all, they have an editor, and makes.
Let's big left turn here.
Okay, a hard left turn.
Yep. All right, after landing, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on our APU.
Check.
NTS is gonna come off. Exterior lights are already off, and flight director's off. Auto brakes off. Speed brakes are down, and flaps are up. TCAS is gonna go on standby. And after landing checklist complete.
All right, my weather radar is off.
And my terrain is off. Okay, let me see here. You said gate 15, so let's look at the apron chart here. Alright, so yeah, we'll take Bravo down, and then gate 15 is a little bit more on the north side there.
Okay, right in the middle of the terminal?
Right in the middle, yeah. Since we're heavy, so all the way at the top side of the terminal there. And another thing I did was model matching. So this is not matched, but all the aircrafts that are flying real airlines will actually show up as airlines here.
Oh, that's cool.
So like Delta, WestJet, basically everything, all the airlines.
And short 04. And if light starts to get it gets a little too dark, we'll move you over to do your circuits on runway 07. But you won't have to move right now.
Wow, they're actually accounting for that too. So somebody's trying to do circuits and they're moving them over based off time. It's cool. All right, we'll put you guys back onto the back cockpit view again because we're done the landing. And Ottawa is not too big of an airport, and their terminal is not that big either. So in a second here, we'll make a right turn, and that is the main terminal there, and we'll take one of the gates there, which is 50.
I haven't flown into Ottawa in a long time too, so this was pretty cool.
I think I was during a bad winter storm. We were coming down in Toronto, and then diverted to Ottawa, and I was stuck there for like 2 days. Got snowed in. And I kind of hate Ottawa because of that. Because it's a little boring.
Ottawa generally doesn't accept a lot of diversions.
Yeah.
A lot of people go to Montreal instead. Just bigger airport, they can handle a lot of that.
That's what I expected. So when we diverted, I was like, okay, surely we get Montreal, but no, they sent us here. But the pilot tried again. So we went around once and we tried again, and then that time we went around and just diverted because it was just that bad.
All right,
So,
I'm following
yeah.
this
Right
line
turn
to the
here.
right here.
Yep.
I believe they have two lines here in Ottawa, an inside lane and an outside lane.
Yeah.
I'll take the outside lane just because we are a heavy aircraft.
Check. So what's like your common routes now that you fly?
Lately, I've been doing a lot of Mexico flights. So my airline is flying into seasonally in the winter. We do a lot of southern destinations, a lot of Florida destination.
Weather there is probably beautiful right now, right?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Shorts, a little bit of shorts,
Yeah.
t-shirt weather.
Of course.
Left-hand turns, not above 1,500 feet. With me on this frequency, winds are 090.
And then when the summer season comes, we transition more into the more U.S. and domestic flights.
Right.
It's nice balance.
What about the last Christmas area time? Probably had a lot of just vacation spots, right? Vacation destinations.
Yeah. So this terminal looks a little bit different. I'm assuming one of these is our gate.
It'll be that gate right there. Yeah.
Oh, it would be totally different, yeah.
Yeah, this
There's
is
no
not
scenery.
not realistic. Yeah, it's no scenery here. Yeah, those they exist, but they look way different too. Those hangars.
I had a cool flight over New Year's.
There's the guy doing his circuits there. You can see him taking off.
So I'm turning into this light here. My text light is coming off.
Yeah. Turn logo and wing lights off too.
Surprised we don't have a marshaller.
Yeah, no scenery for the marshaller. I think we should be good right here. Perfect. Okay,
Right,
parking checklist. Parking brake set.
Parking brake is set.
We can APU is running. We can turn off fuel control into the engines. Seatbelt signs can now go off. Hydraulic systems are coming offline. Beacon lights and nav light can come off. Flight directors are already off, and logbooks are completed.
Cool, man. That was a pleasure flying with you, man.
Pleasure flying with you too.
That was really fun.
All right, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. The version you see might be shortened when we're in cruise, but we had some really good chats in cruise, so I might keep a lot of it in there. So thank you to Mez for coming in and flying,
Anytime.
and hopefully we get to see more of him when you're not
Yeah,
flying
thanks,
in real
guys.
life. Thank you so much, and catch you guys in the next video. And let's give a thanks to ATC. UFLY 124. Appreciate the service. We're logging off for tonight. Take care.
Thanks for the traffic. Welcome anytime.
There it is. All right, we'll go ahead and disconnect, and then Gabriel, you can.